So once again, thank you everyone for joining us here today on our last formal CSWIC meeting, but our not last meeting of the semester, as we will present in a little bit. But this is our welcome to our Women and Executive Positions panel. So before we get to the panel portion of our night, we're just going to give some really quick general club information and updates. And so first off, I'm going to pass it to Candace for some good information.
Hey everybody, I'm Candace and I'm the treasurer, and I have put together a compilation of all the scholarship opportunities that we have. These are the most recent ones that are coming up that you might want to take a look at. I'm also going to throw in the chat the link, and then you can go ahead and click on any of them and go take a look if you want to see. So these are the ones that are coming up pretty soon, and then once you come back in August, there'll be a lot more, and we'll make those available to you then too. If you have any questions, just throw it in the chat. Thanks.
Also, we will be also sending a link shortly of where you can find hyperlinks to all of these scholarship applications.
Okay, hello everyone, I'm Anastasia. I'm the Vice President of Women in Construction. So as you can see that there are still internship opportunities coming up this summer. So for our members, if you're still looking into trying to find that first internship or even second internship, please reach out to us. We have several different companies that are still looking for full-time positions as well as internship opportunities for college students. So if you could just reach out to our email and just send us your resume, then we could connect you with different companies.
Now on for leadership opportunities. So as we are nearing the end of the semester, we are in search of new officers for the upcoming 2021-2022 school year. And so we need new officers. There's so many benefits to being an officer of this club. My favorite is absolutely, having a board that I can rely on and we can support each other and collaborate with. And, you get great networking opportunities, and you get to interact with industry personnel in a different way. And, obviously we all love free swag. And so we get exclusive board swag that if you join our board, and there's so many benefits, with things coming in person, there are the opportunities to maybe going to an in-person conference, or if not, there's many virtual conferences that we've had the opportunity to attend or be at. But we will be dropping a PDF of all of our, so we are in search of a new president, a new vice president, a treasurer, and a secretary. And so we will be dropping a link to our officer responsibilities in case you are interested, and just so you can get an idea of what we do on a weekly basis or what each role entails. And we will also be sending a, we thank you, Wendy, actually, for making a Google form application to how to apply to become a new officer, and those will be due by end of day, so at midnight this Sunday, May 2nd, and elections will begin next week. And then I really do hope that you guys consider becoming board members. And yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us personally or to the Chico State website or our Gmail, which is right there.
Hey everybody, I'm Wendy. I'm the secretary. So I'm going to talk about the upcoming volunteer opportunity we're going to have for fall. We actually got reached out to by the Girl Scout program here in Chico, and they want to demo this slab over here on the side to build an outdoor space for their members so they can have parties or just meet there outside. Candace, if you want to add any information here as to.
Sure. Yeah, this is a great opportunity for us to go ahead and work on a site. And so we'll be able to be there when they do the footings and they lay the new slabs. So we'll get some experience. I know a lot of us have not been able to be on a site and work this last year. So this is a great opportunity. It's over off Floral Avenue in Chico, so it's close. And we're hoping to get a pavilion to put on top. And then later on, they're going to add some things like a barbecue, fire pit. And so there'll be possibly more work continuing on within our group. If you have any questions about it, you can hit me up in the chat and we can send you more information if you want to be part of the committees, which will be coming out in August next year.
Now, as we mentioned, this is our second to last event. This is our last professional event, but we do have one more event coming up May 11th at 5:30 p.m., which is basically a study session because that is going to be during the week of Dead Week. Just kind of like a nice, like informal, very casual like meeting to hang out with us, the board members. If you guys have any questions about classes, just like facilitating like, you know, just doing some homework and having a simple study session. If you guys are interested in that, that is going to be May 11th at 5:30 p.m. It'll probably be like an hour and 30 minutes long. And we are planning to have coffee gift card like giveaways to members that do show up. So that's just a little encouragement to get you guys to come and study with us.
Awesome, thank you. Oh, yep, there's my official, I'm unstable. But yeah, so thank you. So those were just a couple of our updates. If you guys do have any questions in regards to any of the information, we will be sending out these slides at the end, or feel free to contact us. So now for the panel discussion of our board. So we are going to start by a quick little introduction of our board panel, that are very exciting panel that we have here today. So after they do their brief introductions, we will jump into a panel discussion, group discussion with some pre-scribed questions. And then at the bottom of your guys' screens, you guys should have the option to choose breakout rooms. And so when that part of the night or the evening or presentation happens, you can choose to go into breakout rooms with our various industry panels and you know, have a more conversational Q&A portion. So that's just how the night will end. So, or will go, that's the idea. I'm sorry if I'm breaking out, but first I'm going to pass it off to, so this is the order that we will be going into presentations. So without further ado, I'm going to present to you all Kelly Cohen. So hello.
Hello. Are you bringing up my, oh, yep, there it is. So I had a ton of fun putting this together, actually, going down memory lane of my career. I've been working in this industry, commercial general contracting, for 28 years. We're not going to round that up to 30 yet, but 28 years. I've been with Excel for 10 and a half, and really a director only since January. So, so this role is officially new for me. I've been a project executive with Excel for 6.5 years, focusing initially on our education market. And then in 2019, Sacramento became its own business unit within Excel. And so really, even though I was focused mostly on education projects, public K-12, and then higher education, university and community college work, also was really running an office. And so part of this director role is something I've been doing for a little while anyway, but now it's official and sort of nice to formalize that. I know we recruit at Chico often and work with the Reno teams, and but a little bit about Excel Construction. Actually, coincidentally enough, we've been in business about 28 years as well. We are only in Northern California. Our headquarters is in Milpitas, Silicon Valley, and we do have an office we've built out and just haven't occupied yet in Oakland. And so I'm hoping June or July, we get to occupy that office. And we've had a Sacramento office about the last 8 years. As a company, we're organized into market segments. sort of like design firms are organized into studios. And so our market segments or business units are education, healthcare, civic, education, healthcare, civic, corporate office, and science and tech. And we probably just in Northern California this year, we'll probably do close to 700 million in revenue, focusing just in those markets, and have about 600 employees. Half of that is actual craft. So we self-perform concrete and have our own carpenters and laborers as well. And then the other half are project managers, superintendents, project engineers, safety. And then of course we've got departments such as sustainability, estimating and pre-con, construction technology, and supporting departments, of course, in human resources and accounting and marketing. And so my career path, I went through every role here. So hopefully it's not too boring for you. Diana's like, yep, here we go. But I did that first bubble there saying that I grew up going to work and job sites with my dad. So I think it's pretty common when you hear someone in construction has a family tie to construction. And I threw this little photo on there because it's a picture of the Capitol restoration here in downtown Sacramento that took place between 1976 and 1982. And if you look really closely on the group of people standing on the that first row of scaffolding, my dad's in the middle of that group. So that's why I threw that in there. I've always been proud of his work and my family. And so it just was obvious that this is what I was going to do. So I have a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from UCLA. And then had interned with auto construction, and then out of school started working for auto construction as an estimator. I had sworn I'd never go back to Sacramento. I'd outgrown it. I was living in LA, but I did anyway. And I loved it. So after that, I went to DPR and was a project engineer and then a project manager. And then transitioned into estimating because I'd done estimating at Auto. DPR was looking for some estimators. I was here in the Sacramento office and asked if I would temporarily get involved back in estimating, which then became a career for a long time. And, you know, I had done some smaller projects before, and this is where I got to say out loud, I want to work on bigger projects. I want to work on design build projects, and really grew into sort of a pre-construction manager career that was great. I've also included some organizations and boards I've been part of because just as you guys are part of this organization, which I think is excellent, there is a lot of value in the networking and the peer group for yourself, as well as then giving back to your community. I've never met an industry or come across an industry as supportive of its communities than the construction and design industry. And so it's pretty fun to come together with groups that are otherwise your competitors and make your industry better, raise the ethics in your industry, and support your community. So that first opportunity I had there was on the board of the Construction Industry Education Foundation, which is through the Sacramento Regional Builders Exchange. And from there got involved with the ACE Mentor program and helped establish the ACE Mentor program in Sacramento and worked with that group for a long time. And that was while I was at DPR and even other companies. Okay, so then I went went to Clark Sullivan only for about 1.5 years, and then went to Davis Reed only for about a year. And at the time I thought, what the heck am I doing? I've had this 11 years with DPR, a great company, and now I'm kind of messing around. I'm not finding the right spot. And so it kind of felt like a failure to me. And I bring that up only to say that experience at at two different companies with two very different cultures taught me a lot. And so it really wasn't a failure. It was a lot about still what I didn't want, what I did want for my career. And it helped me sort of regain my focus on getting with a company with a really good culture, values that were aligned with me, and that really had a purpose that fit for me. And so I found Excel Construction. I was, again, a pre-construction manager until becoming a project executive, first for education and then focusing on Sacramento. And then in the meantime, also joined the board of the Sacramento Regional Builders Exchange, and then ultimately became the board president. I was actually, that organization is over 100 years old, and I was only the third woman president, female president. But the cool part is the second year I was on the board was the first female president, and then I was there for the second and then became the third. So a little bit of a story of how things are changing. I also participated in a leadership academy that really is focused on some of my clients, but that was a great opportunity. And then of course, just recently became director, and I left the last bubble blank because I don't know what's next. We'll see. And then I listed as my favorite project, actually my very first project. I did a renovation of the Sutter Club, which is a private club in downtown Sacramento. It faces the Capitol, so it had sort of this nostalgic feel for me. And the other part that was kind of cool about it is that it was originally a men's only club, and began admitting women just right before I started working on this project. And so it kind of felt cool to be a female project manager on a private club that really had only started admitting women. Like it just felt like there was change happening. And so, of course, I was the only woman on the project, and just sort of, I don't know, moving into this men's world, right? And getting in there and making changes. I met lifelong mentors there who I still see. In fact, some of them are past presidents of SRBX. And part of the reason I became a president of SRBX is because I love seeing these guys when they come to the annual dinner and all of that. And I wanted to keep doing that, but I learned a lot. They really took me under their wing. And one of the things that was great about it is I learned very early on that there are people out there who are happy to help you. And they didn't care that I was female or that I was 22 years old and probably had no idea what I was doing, but that I wanted to work very hard, and I wanted to learn, and I wanted to be fair, and they were there to help me. And then of course, I just learned a lot. It was I don't know who assigned me to this project. That person probably should have been fired, but it worked out well because I had no business running that job, but it turned out great. And so it's certainly not the most glamorous project I've done, but it still 28 years later makes a big impact. So that's why it's my favorite.
That's awesome. That's great. Thank you, Kelly. So next up, we have many of you may know Jamie Cochran, our very own professor here. So go ahead, Jamie, whenever you're ready.
Well, that's a hard one to follow up, Kelly. Thank you. So yeah, many of you know me as your professor for 335 for your equipment class. But I actually, my main job right now is running my own company. So I started Jayco Engineering in October of 2018 when I got my contractor's license, and saw some opportunity there, saw some of my abilities to help other construction companies that are really good at building stuff, but maybe aren't as good at organizing and creating schedules and dealing with the paperwork side of things, right? Which is the what I would say a lot of small contractors complain about as construction has progressed over the last 10, 15, 20 years, is the additional paperwork and the additional management that comes along with it. And so my skill set was really well suited for that. And I saw the need in the industry and started Jayco Engineering. So my path to here, as Kelly was talking about Sacramento, was bringing back all of these thoughts for me because I went to Sac State and graduated from Sac State and the construction management program there, and went to the Sutter House for construction management events when the SCEMF board was just getting founded. And so for me, it was like, oh, I remember that. I remember, that downtown building. And so that was kind of cool. So I graduated from Sac State in 2007 and went to work out of school for Flatiron Construction, and was a project engineer for them for 6.5, 7 years, and was really lucky because we had a small Sacramento district at the time. And so I was able to work side by side with a really great project manager and area manager that allowed me to be a project engineer straight out of college, which isn't always the case, and so the projects that we got to work on were smaller, I would say 10 million and less projects. And so I was really able to get my hands in everything. And so I was developing schedules for Army Corps projects, and managing budgets and running field crews and doing a little bit of everything. And so it was really great because I got to see all aspects of the industry that we were getting into, I was getting into. And even prior to that, a lot of you students hear me talk about growing up, similar to Kelly, growing up in the industry. My parents have a business back home in Sonoma County that I got to go out in the field and help do grade setting and flagging and just, be around heavy civil construction all growing up. And so when I went to college, I knew that was kind of the path that I wanted to take, and that I wanted to be on the dirt side of things, or the more heavy civil, bridges, dams, highways, what I consider the fun stuff of the industry. So along the way with Flatiron, like I said, a lot of great opportunities, getting to work on some large infrastructure projects as my career progressed, and then family obligations brought me back to Chico, and needing to be here with my wife and our kids. And so I took a position with a Chico-based company that does marine construction. And those of us that are here in Chico, we know that Chico is very, very much landlocked. So it was really interesting to work for a company, for J.E. McCamus, bidding on jobs that were hundreds of miles away out in the ocean, doing dredging and building jetties, and just very large infrastructure projects that were, you didn't just hop in your truck one day and go out to the project. If you were going out to see the job, you were there for a couple of weeks, and you were, stationed out there, or you were on a barge, or whatever the case may be, which was fantastic and brought me into a whole nother side of heavy civil construction. But still had me away from home quite a bit. And so after a few years of doing that and traveling quite a bit, I took a position with a local company here in town that was in need of an estimating manager. So, I was an estimating manager where I was not only running a staff, doing takeoffs and doing the bids, bid running, all of that, but also running crews in the field. So that was a little bit of a one-person show for a while. And again, thought I understood what estimating was about. And then you get into this other position, and you really realize that bidding a scope of work, or putting together portions of an estimate, is not running an entire bidding department and having to track bid dates and bonds and insurance requirements, and doing risk analysis and all of the other parts that come along with running an entire estimating department. And so I spent a few years there, getting my feet very wet, and a little education by fire on that one. And then made the choice that I had started teaching a little bit part-time, and decided that I really was enjoying that aspect of giving back and being able to be a positive role model, not only for the females in the program, but also for the males in the program, and to see, you know, a female every single day that has made it in this industry and has had a positive experience in this industry, and to just see the development of the students. And so I decided to leave R&R Horn and pursue teaching and running my own company. So that was a few years ago, and here we are. So for me, the project that had the biggest influence for me was Calaveras Dam Replacement Project. And my students get to see a great slideshow where I talk about all the earth moving and the cycle times, and you know how you determine all that on a project like this. But the reason why this was such a huge project for me was not the earth moving, right? We moved 7 million yards of dirt and it was fantastic, but that became somewhat routine. What was really cool and really unique for me on this project were the other scopes of work, right? We had to do a soldier pile wall, and we had to blast materials. So there was times where I was running blasting crews. I had no idea what to do with a blasting crew and how to review a blasting plan, or how to do a grout curtain underneath the new dam foundation, or running a trencher up a 2-to-1 slope and having it trench a 10-foot deep trench, you know. That was what was mind-blowing to me on this project. It was all those little scopes of work that weren't the money makers, but could potentially be the money breakers. And so that's where I really realized that my skill set is in those details, and that companies need somebody who sees those details and can, you know, spend the time drilling down and really wrapping your head around the specifications and the requirements, and then remember it, right? So you read all that information, but then to digest it and then be able to remember it when you're out in the field and you're inspecting, or you're you know, trying to describe it to a crew. And so on that project is when I really realized that I brought something to these project teams that I assumed everyone did, but in actuality, it's a very it's a unique trait that I have. And so that's why I loved this project, was because I was working with a great team. It was a joint venture on the construction side and on the owner side. And so you were dealing with, you know, hundreds of people that you didn't know and that you wouldn't deal with on an everyday basis. And you got to really learn some, you know, parts of construction that you don't typically see on an everyday project like this. So yeah, I think about this job all the time. I loved it.
Definitely remember this lecture in 335, and it was probably one of the more exciting, you know, never considered heavy civil until your class and this project. So thank you, Jamie.
Mhm.
And last but not least, our next panelist, we have Melissa Berg with Dome Construction. So welcome, Melissa.
Thank you. So I'm Melissa Berg with Dome Construction. My current position is Director of Inclusion, Culture, and Engagement. I've had this role for only 7 months, but I've actually been with Dome for close to 11 years now, and I'll kind of get into a little bit of my history in a minute here. If you're not familiar with Dome, we're a mid-sized GC in California. We've got 6 offices now. Let's see if I can remember them all. Embryville, South San Francisco, San Jose, Thousand Oaks, and San Diego now. So throughout California. We also kind of divide our work by sector. So we've got a healthcare group, a biotech group. We do TIs. We do a lot of campus work in Silicon Valley, the Googles, Facebook, stuff like that. I personally kind of came up through our healthcare division and just let that go and just kind of letting go of my teams right now. I'd say the key things that I love about Dome and that I always try to sell when I'm recruiting is really focused on continuous improvement and being innovative. We're really focused on providing opportunity for everyone. And we're really focused on valuing our people, which is part of the reason they've allowed me to move into this new role. So, sorry, the font got a little messed up here, but a little bit about my career route. I kind of laughed when I saw the slide and it was such a straight line because I just got into a conversation about with someone the other day about how no one's career is a straight line. It usually ends up kind of sideways all over the place. You don't really know what's going to happen. I know very few who have kind of followed a straight ladder out throughout their career. I started my journey back in Milwaukee. I went to a small school called Milwaukee School of Engineering. I have a bachelor's in structural engineering and one in management systems. When I graduated in 1998, there was what was called the internet bubble was going on, and there was a desperate need for computer programmers. And I got hired out of college by Accenture, Anderson Consulting at the time, to be a computer programmer, even though I knew nothing about computer programming, solely because I kind of came out of an engineering program. So they'd grab a bunch of us engineers and offer high salaries basically and say, hey, we're going to teach you how to program in C++ and, give you all this money in a corporate apartment. So I was like, heck yes. So I took a corporate apartment in Chicago and moved there and spent the first 4 years of my career loving life in Chicago, making good friends, seeing how a major corporation like that works. I think they were in 137 countries at the time. I'm sure they've expanded by now. Anyway, kind of learning that gig. About 4 years into it, the internet bubble started to burst, and I was like, I feel like I'm the first on the chopping block because I have a structural engineering degree, So I kind of saw the writing on the wall and didn't see it as my full career path forward. So I took my stuff, moved to San Diego, and started working for a small structural engineering firm. And we did homes in San Diego and La Jolla, and they were obnoxious. Some of them were 10,000 square feet, 12,000 square feet, which was really fun for a while, designing these. I mean, we were literally putting steel beams in these homes to deal with the seismic loads on it. So it was pretty cool. But after about a year and a half, it was like, you know what, this is mostly sitting at a desk. It's just not what I want to do. So I found my first GC in 2003 in San Diego and kind of started my career there with general contractors and haven't changed since. So I was with a couple different contractors down in San Diego on the smaller side, which actually I think helped me learn pretty quickly and moved up the career ladder pretty quickly. Eventually, I moved up to San Francisco in 2010 to be with my wife now. So I found Dome and luckily found them in 2009, 2010, which was kind of not a great market to be looking for a job. So I was fortunate enough to be in kind of the healthcare sector that was still kind of a specialty market. So I was able to find Dome and kind of target and say, hey, look, I've got all these credentials, and they took a chance on me as a project manager. And that's kind of where I started my journey with them. And it's been a great match because they're really let me run through the career ladder as quickly as I wanted to. And I love that about it. So I worked my way from project manager to senior project manager to associate director, I think in 2015. And most recently in 2020 was made director and shareholder. So now part owner, which is amazing. But the very coolest part, and the part that I'm on now, is that kind of over the last 5 years of my career, as a side project to all the jobs that I'm running and teams that I'm running, I've been really focused on women in construction and helping support women in construction. So I've done a lot internally within Dome, and also work with YOPS outside of Dome. Currently the president of our NorCal chapter, on the board with Marie. So that's fun. But that was kind of my passion that was happening in the background. And now I've turned it into kind of my full-time role, is looking at diversity and inclusion and engagement of our employees at Dome. And the fact that they kind of trusted me to create my own role, and now just kind of seeing that as like seeing how it goes and inventing it as we go is pretty cool. So I kind of cheated on this one. I've literally probably have 300 plus projects under my belt, just because I've done everything from, $100,000 projects up to maybe 40 million. So over the years, I just too many. So my passion right now is really this leadership within Dome. So this was one of my favorite photos from October 2019 of our women's leadership group kind of getting together. And it was just a proud moment for me as Dome has grown, and like this connectedness that we've grown at the Dome. So that's my favorite thing. And I think my favorite thing throughout construction too is kind of the relationships that you build over the years.
That's awesome. I was excited to hear what the story behind this photo was. And once again, apologies for the mix-up. Hopefully that doesn't reflect any of my QA QC skills. But thank you so much, and that's great. And I'm really excited for you to be here. For many of us, we joined YOPS event last week, and that was great. And Melissa was part of that board, so we're really excited we got to snag her here. But now I'm going to stop sharing so we can all face